People that I don't know either. This is great. I'm going to get to know some new people. All right, well, let's get started. If people come in, then they come in. So, hey, everybody, my name is Denise Kaisler, and I teach physics and astronomy here at Citrus. I've been here since 2004, and it's been great. And believe it or not, I've got a good feeling about this current era. So even though we're experiencing a lot of upheavals, the good feeling that I've got is that there's currently more room than ever for thinking about how we teach and for innovating. Authentic learning, I'm not going to define it right off the bat. We're going to go into that in a minute. And the ways in which we assess student work, they aren't new ideas, but it seems to me like they lend themselves particularly well to the kinds of classrooms without walls that a lot of us now occupy and might still occupy for some time. So somebody was saying, Lisa was saying, just as people were coming in, talking about being back on campus and stuff like that. And I like being face-to-face with students. I mean, it's great being in a classroom. However, online instruction also has a lot of advantages, and judging by the enrollment numbers is a clear preference for many of our students. So that's reason number one for facilitating this workshop. We're moving beyond classroom walls in a lot of ways, and that can facilitate relevant, engaging experiences for our students and also for us, because it's really fun to teach a course when students are engaged. Reason number two is the wealth of expertise on campus. I've only lately started to appreciate a lot of what my colleagues are doing, because when the pandemic started, we were all looking around for new strategies. And Eric Rabatoy, the Dean of Sciences, organized these twice weekly Zoom meetings to share new developments. And we happened to start using part of every meeting to share new ways of working and talk about what we were doing on a daily basis, the problems we were encountering. And I learned an enormous amount from everybody's honesty. And it seems like it will be as or more helpful if we do this more on a campus-wide basis. Just tell each other what we're doing and learn from our colleagues who have knowledge in all kinds of areas. So my hope is we'll all become better teachers, as well as chip away at some old problems, student engagement being among them. So the structure of this workshop is going to be as follows. Let's make sure that I'm looking at the right window. So first of all, we're going to arrive at a shared definition of authentic learning. I'll present one or two courses completely designed around authentic learning. And after that, we'll have a chance to look at several assignments, compare their authenticity, and discuss how best to assess them. So like I said, this is a workshop. Depending on how much time is left, we might also compare or contrast things that people in this group are doing and discuss some of the possible pitfalls of authentic learning and its assessment. So all this material is going to be on the OneDrive. Everybody should be able to have access to it. And if we don't get through everything, that's fine, because people can look on their own later, or we can have further conversations as time goes on. So let's start by going towards an understanding of what authentic learning and authentic assessment is. First of all, a bit of terminology. Some people use assignments and assessments interchangeably. For this talk, I'll split them up into assignments, meaning what students are being asked to do, versus assessments, or how their work will be scored or ranked. Some people argue, possibly successfully, that the two are the same thing, but giving the two terms this distance seems like it would be helpful for people like myself who haven't studied a lot of education theory. Let's define authenticity. I'm really happy that there are so many people here because we can get some good breakout rooms. So let's see, how many folks do we have here? We have 35 people. I think that'll be 7 groups of 5 people each. So what I'd like to do is split into breakout rooms and talk among each other about what authentic learning means to us. I could tell you what I think, but people are coming into this session with different levels of exposure to the idea of authentic learning. And if we start off in random groups by discussing everyone's understanding of what this is, it will stick in people's minds better. Plus, doing it this way gives people a chance to think through these ideas and learn from other people. So here is the breakout room exercise. And don't worry, all these instructions will be repeated in the file that I'm going to grant everyone access to. Please start off with, as usual, some humanizing discussion because it's great to be back with our colleagues. Introduce yourselves to anyone you don't know. Let's talk about winter sessions for a little bit. When you feel ready, please use the I have a question button to call me into your room if I haven't been there already. And I'll post a link to the chat, which will take you to a document showing some desirable characteristics of assignments, so some characteristics of effective assignments. Please decide as a group or individually if you like, and then tally the results as a group, which characteristics best describe an authentic learning assignment. Your group is welcome to add any characteristics that seem to be missing from the list, and have each person pick up to 5, and then have someone tally the choices, and then we'll have the groups report back and we'll look at our findings as a whole and synthesize a definition. So does anybody have any questions before we go into the breakout rooms? All right, so I will assign automatically people to 7 breakout rooms. Let's go with 6 because we just lost some people. So there should be 5 people to a room, and I will open the rooms now. I'll see you on the other side.
Join room number 1.
You're always number 1, Arn.
Thanks, Denise.
Hey, Senya. Hey, Senya, how are you? Hey, Michael. Did you get the invitation for the breakout room? Michael, you're muted if you're trying to say something. Okay, I'm just going to move you over manually. I think I can do that. There we go. Hey, Eagle, how are you? Eagle, you're muted.
Oh, hey, Denise, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Everybody just went into breakout rooms. So is it okay if I add you to breakout room number 1?
Oh, yeah, please.
Okay, I will assign you to room number 1. There you go. I'll see you in a moment.
Okay.
Everyone is in breakout rooms right now. So is it all right if I add you to breakout room number 2? You're muted, by the way. Okay, great. Welcome to the talk, by the way. I'm Denise, and I'll see everyone when they come out of the groups in a moment. Let me go to breakout rooms. It is not showing me the breakout rooms window for some reason. Where is it? It's probably hidden under other windows. That's not working. All right, I'll get back to you in a moment, Albert. I'll be right with you. Hey, everybody. It looks good. So we got a bunch of people back, although not as many people as I thought. Let's see who else is still in the breakout rooms.
Go get them.
All right, I think I'm just going to close all the rooms. And then they'll come back. Because somebody said when I posted the message that it went by pretty quick and I was talking, so I missed what it said. So the pitfalls of an open-ended assignment is that people take different amounts of time to finish it. Unless they're going to go back to one participant can share at a time. And there we are. Okay, let's go ahead and hear from the groups and hear what people picked as their definition for authentic learning. So let's start with group 5 because I know you guys are group 6 because I know you guys are here.
Is that us?
That's us.
Oh, okay. So we discussed several characteristics, but we kind of said it would be more relevant to the real world outcomes because we discussed the lack of soft skills and the outcomes with our students, if they're really learning or not, or contributing or participating in real life as they do in the classroom. We also chose open-ended characteristic was one of the top ones, and then several other ones. I think that's about it, unless my group wants to add more stuff to our report.
I'll just add, we also had a bit of a discussion about the overlap between a something that is exploratory versus iterative, and that the iterative process can be very much a part of that exploratory process. And so we had a little bit of discussion as to which one was most relevant there.
Sounds good. I agree. So I'm going to view as the speaker, and I think that will show me the people in greater detail. Okay, so this activity ran somewhat longer than I thought. I'm going to move on and talk a little bit about another way of looking at authentic learning that we may not have thought about. So this is from Michael Wesch. He is I believe, an assistant professor of anthropology at Kansas State. He contrasts superficial learning, which is where you try to learn for the test, with deep learning, which involves going into a learning experience with the intention of changing yourself and keeping the knowledge with you. And this really resonated with me when I read this. I thought, yeah, that's what I want to do. I want my students to want to change themselves in a way that will stick with them for a long time. So this part of the talk is about presenting a couple of groundbreaking courses, and we'll start with one because I have a lot to say about it. And then maybe later on, if we have time, we'll talk about the second one. So these two courses, one of them's in science and one of them's in social science. And of course, you know which one I'm going to present. And they're effective because they're designed with authenticity as a fundamental principle. And they boast equal or better student performance in online groups and than in traditional environments. Students consistently give unsolicited rave reviews about both these courses, so they're really excited about the learning that's taking place here. So the first one is Eric Mazur. He teaches a course called Applied Physics 50 at Harvard. And this is really interesting because it is both team-based learning and it is project-based. So there are 3 separate projects over the semester, and for each one you have a separate team. There are no lectures or exams, so you can see automatically people find this really attractive. There's 2 types of intrinsic motivation going on here. One is learn the material or your project will go kaput. And secondly, effective teamwork makes the workload a lot lighter for everyone. So there's this incentive to work well and communicate well in your teams. This is a lot for students, but it works because all the material that is learned from reading, and students have a lot of support in their reading. I'll go into that in the next few slides. The course is designed to facilitate a lot of interaction with instructional staff. And also the course uses something called specifications grading. Raise your hand, please, if you've heard of specifications grading, either your electronic hand or your real hand. All right. Some people call it mastery grading. You may have heard of that as well. So this is what this course is about. So the first part of it, supported reading, there is a new paradigm going around called collaborative reading or group annotation. And we are actually testing this at Citrus. The district has a subscription to Hypothesis. And what if you made your readings so integral to the course that students can't avoid the readings? That is how this course is structured. So the students are asked to do the readings in groups. It's kind of a collaborative atmosphere in which it helps students engage deeply because they're asking questions of each other while they're doing the reading. Another question, have any of you used Hypothesis? Have any of you used Perusal or any of those other group annotation softwares? Yeah, it's not too popular yet, but some places are using it. So there is an example of how it might be used in the files that you have access to. So if you go back to that folder and you click on Hypothesis Example, you can see a page that has some reading and that has some annotations by students. And there are basically expressions of what is a substantive comment and not a substantive comment. And you can see that the students can reply to each other and they can ask questions. They can pull in links and images from elsewhere if they're doing this. So it's a really rich learning environment if the students are taught how to use it effectively. There is also a lot of staff support in this AP 50 course. So there are scaffolded assignments, which means that they refer to each other and they build on each other. There are a lot of scaffolded readiness checks, and the problem sets provide multiple opportunities for improved understanding. So here's a collection of 6 types of exercises that AP 50 uses in every unit. So the students have multiple chances to practice the information that they're learning from the reading. On the left, you can see that Bloom's taxonomy levels are listed, and these are the levels that the exercises are meant to serve. And the assignments are scaffolded, again, as I said, meaning that students learn a little bit from each one and they apply it to subsequent assignments in the same unit as well as in other units. This approach takes a lot of work on the back end, but it does minimize the strategic skipping around that some students do. Then during this process, there are a lot of meetings of small groups. So here you can see a small group interacting with Eric Mazur himself. And you can see that they're solving problems together. They're talking, basically what Eric likes to say is Zoom can make every student front and center. And he really exemplifies that in his teaching. So asynchronous exercises lead to synchronous meetings. And you have to be ready for the meeting or else you'll be in front of the instructor in a small room and you won't know what's going on. And so there's this natural impetus to know what to do. There are also dedicated instant messaging group. This course uses Slack. I've replicated this a little bit by using Microsoft Teams, which is great. Gloria Ramos actually taught me how to use this. It's already available to every student and they don't have to sign up for anything new. It comes with their student account. And so once you create a team that has everyone in the class, I create an original assignment that has everyone sign up for the team, and then they're all talking, they're all instant messaging immediately. Teams is great in that you can also use it in the same way that you're using Zoom. So Teams, you can be instant messaging and then somebody says, let's have a meeting. They click on the meeting button and the teleconference window pops up and people can join or not join as they see fit. So it's really powerful software. So when students are working on their assignments in AP 50, they're also checking work with instructors. They're participating in the class. The Slack channels are constantly going and everyone is constantly asking questions and solving problems together. The third piece of this course is specifications grading or mastery grading. So has anybody seen this Inside Higher Ed article? Show of hands again. I like the title. So specifications grading or mastery grading works in AP 50 in the following way. So here's an example. Feel free to read it if you're interested. I like it because it allows a quick assessment of some fairly complex tasks. Rather than assigning points for each and every part of the assignment, this method of grading allows you to say, is it all there? If so, is it done to an acceptable level? If so, great, full points. If not, please resubmit. So it gives students multiple opportunities to submit work. And I find with Canvas, it's much, much easier to regrade multiple submissions than if I am juggling 50 different stacks of paper. So this really aligns well with learning platforms such as Canvas. Some possible takeaways from this that I've taken away that perhaps you would like to take away as well is minimizing instructor-paced work. Students have their own schedules, students have their own ways of going about things. They're coming into your course at different levels, and this can really help personalize instruction. Teaching metacognition, teaching how people think or how people learn, and teaching students about their own learning and helping them analyze how much they know at a given time has been effective. And personalized instruction, this is ongoing. I'm working on how to use Canvas to give some people choices of which kinds of assignments they do or how they do an assignment. I am implementing teamwork and specifications grading with some pitfalls. There have definitely been some points where I had to reassess what I was doing because people were complaining. They said, there's forced teamwork, this is terrible, you know. And so I made the teamwork more flexible. People can switch teams if they want to. Specifications gradings, some students were really salty when they couldn't get full points unless they went above and beyond the assignment. So some students said, no, I don't like this because I want to be able to just do the assignment and get full points. So it's important to choose very carefully which assignments that you use for specifications grading. I have also started surveying my students on specific criteria. Here's a survey that I gave my students at the end of winter session. Conveniently, I have not yet analyzed the data, so I can't yet tell you what the numbers were, but here are the questions. So as you can see, they are pretty basic, but they are fundamental to my goals in teaching the course that I was teaching. This was Astronomy 117, Life in the Universe. And if you want to learn more about this type of feedback, if this type of survey, please go to the link below. This talk is going to be available or is available in the folder that I sent you as well. So that was one of the two courses. The other one is a social science course, also amazing. It will probably blow your mind even more than this one. We can talk about it if we have time, but I am cognizant that we still have a lot to do, so I will save it for later. Let's move on now to the other breakout room assignment, which is looking at some sample assignments and basically saying, is this an authentic assignment? How authentic is it compared to the other assignments? And how would you assess it? So here are some popular grading schemes that folks use. Standard grading is just the assigning of points for assignments or parts of the assignments, whether they're complete, whether they're correct. We all know about it. Narrative grading involves giving written and or oral feedback and or explaining and or attaching numbers or letters to it, as in standard grading, or you can do it on its own. Complete, incomplete is sometimes called pass fail, but I don't call it that because I want to encourage students to resubmit their work in order to gain a better understanding and earn more points. I'm not saying it's below a certain level fail. I'm saying it's below a certain level. Let's try to do better with this feedback. Specifications grading we've already discussed, so I won't really go into it. So in the same folder as before, there is a subfolder with a set of 5 sample assignments. You may have looked through it already. Your group can look at some or all of them and discuss which type of grading would you use. You can also compare the authenticity of these assignments, and you can start weaving in your own work. And I noticed some people were already talking about this in the first set of breakout rooms, which was great. So I'm going to put you back with the same folks and talk about this some more. So does anybody have any other questions before we go back in the room? I see there are some messages in the chat here. Can you please resend the files? Oh, Noemi, thank you for resharing that. Awesome. Thank you for taking care of that, you guys. I've got about 17 zillion windows and a teleprompter. So this is a lot to look at. Okay, so I will open all the rooms. People can go back into them and look at these assignments and see what you think. Gregory, I'm going to assign you, if you don't mind, to group.
Oh, I was in a group earlier. I just switched computers.
Oh, you switched computers. Which group were you in before?
I was with Jennifer and Sonia. I think it was 3 maybe.
Yeah, room 3. I will put you in room 3.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. good to see everybody coming back in. Those are some very productive discussions that I was hearing.
Need more time, Denise.
I know. So again, this is the pitfalls of giving open-ended assignments, is that people get really into them and they want more time to talk about them.
Yeah, I don't think our group finished the assignments. I think we got like halfway.
Well, I think my intention was more not to get people to finish, but to get people talking and thinking.
Oh, we definitely did that.
Yay! Then I achieved my intention. So let's do this last part in the chat. I'd like to hear from people about what they heard from other folks in their chat rooms about what people are doing that is new that they might try. So if you heard something from a colleague that is particularly interesting and you think, oh, I might want to try that going forward. Using contract grading, says Gregory. Yep. And it was great. While I was popping around between the different breakout rooms, by the way, you guys can use this trick if you have synchronous classes using mastery grading, says Noemi. If you guys have synchronous courses and you break into Zoom rooms, if people are sharing the screen and they have their cameras off, you can be there with your camera off and nobody will know. So in a few rooms, I snuck in and I, don't mean to eavesdrop, but I just listened to what people were saying. And it was really interesting. People's reactions were all over the place for the same assignment. And it just goes to show you how subjective the work that we do is, and how a different assignment can land in people. So some people immediately gravitate towards certain assignments and dislike others, regardless of how authentic or well-worded they might be. So it's very interesting. I liked hearing from Jamie that we can try contract mastery for parts of our course instead of the whole thing. And yeah, I would like to hear more about contract grading from you folks. Can somebody explain that for the group? Either in the chat or orally?
I will go, since I'm currently using contract grading in my English 101 e-courses.
Thank you, Jamie.
No problem. Essentially, it is you set up a contract with your students where they get the grades based on the work that they complete. So you set up what is the standard for an A, a B, a C, or you set up the standard for what is an acceptable submission for your formative sort of assessments. And the students work to achieve the grade they want, and they work to build those skills. And a lot of people are a bit nervous at this approach because they kind of look at it as, well, if the students are just being graded on the labor, on the effort, doesn't that mean they'll just turn in anything? And yeah, they might try, but that's where we get to set the standards. You get to set the standard of what is an acceptable submission for the assignment, and then have them revise that assignment until it does meet the standards. And that's the way you enact that kind of mastery-based grading, right? Is we don't just say, okay, you failed this assignment. We say, this isn't ready. It needs to be revised. It's not meeting the standards of the assignment in these regards, and you need to explain that to them. So it does require a lot of specific directive feedback to the students. It is, I'll be honest, it is kind of time consuming when you're first getting your processes set up and when you're giving that feedback, because that feedback, like I said, is more specific, it's more directive, and because you're requiring the students to go back and revise the work and then resubmit. So it's, it's iterative, it's recursive in that way too. Does that sort of give you guys a good understanding?
It worked well for me. Jamie, do you think that contract grading should be on that slide with different types of grading?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Jamie, do you have any resources or books or anything that might
Yes.
help those of us who are interested? I know I'm shifted my classes in a direction where I'm grading in that way of complete, incomplete with, feedback, so they have chances to, add to assignments and get more involved in showing what they know. But I don't know much about the contract grading. And the other thing, I know we don't have much time, is, I tried it out in the winter, and it's like 8 students that I have. But when I go back to regular semester, it's like 45 students times 7 classes is like, So I'm wanting more like resources if you have that or any idea.
Yeah. I have a ton of them, and I've done a couple of conference presentations on this too, so I can send you. And I worked with other people who've actually worked with. This is the leading guy, I'd say right now, is Dr. Asao Inoue. His last name is Inoue, Inoue, or pronounced Inoue. And he is a real leader in the specifications, labor-based, contract-based grading systems. And he is definitely one of those people who's making the claim that that using this type of grading is addressing equity, because he believes, he teaches English and composition. He believes the way we're currently assessing students in writing and in English is racist, because it's based on standards with which these students aren't familiar. They haven't grown up in this kind of academic milieu, so they don't have the language, they don't have the tools. So he looks at it as, we're already condemning these people to failure. So what we should be trying to do is give them feedback and help them grow these skills, and not just give them the, you're failing, you don't meet, but instead honor their labor and then try to bring that labor up to the standards that we need them to get to achieve. Does that make sense?
Is it similar to the ungrading kind of
Yes.
philosophy?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Would you be willing to talk more, or to do like a workshop for any of us, or?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And Becky Rudd too in the English department has also been researching this, and we've done some presentations together, and she's been enacting the labor-based contract grading as well.
Yeah.
She's another great resource.
I have another book recommendation on the screen behind me. So if people are looking for different vehicles for assessment, so we talked about we talked about assessment schemes, we talked about authentic and inauthentic learning, but this 21st century skills assessment book gives ideas for assessing various types of skills. For example, make a video, have a panel discussion, this, that, and the other thing. So I recommend it. It's not a cheap book, but it's a quick read, and there are a lot of ideas in it.
What's the author's last name? I can't see it. You're
It's either Greenstein or Greenstein. I'll type it in.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And there is, if you hold your phone up to if you have
the QR code. Okay.
Yeah, if you hold up your phone to the QR code, it'll appear right there.
Thanks.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So this is a lot of good work, everybody. I was really interested by the conversations that people were having. And there is more to this talk, because we were all so busy having conversations that we didn't really address the other class that I wanted to talk about. But if you want to check out the most amazing anthropology course ever, have a look at Michael Wesch, Kansas State. Just go to Anthro 101. And they got the domain name Anthro 101, which is tremendous. And look at the Teaching Without Walls trailer via YouTube. It will absolutely blow your mind. So thanks everybody for coming. Great participation. And I look forward to talking with you more in the spring. Have a good lunchtime.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thanks again.
See you all later.
Bye. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Denise.
Thanks, June.
You did a great job.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thanks, you too.